to the 9/11 War Room, a weekly roundtable discussion that takes place every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Tune in at 911warroom.com.
Welcome to the 9/11 War Room. My name is Gene.
My name is Sandra. Today is Sunday, March 22nd, and we've got episode 227.
All right, we are going to be talking about quite a bit here. Some of the highlights. The Web I.O. has the 9/11 data set released. The replica of the Twin Towers in Chicago. We're going to talk more about that. I'm sure Jerry's going to have some things to say. And then Tristan from the UK will be joining us. He's done extensive research on explosive sounds and isolating the sounds and presenting some videos. We're going to share some of those too later on in the, and there's many other little things, but we'll get to that. So let's get started. 227. It is my task not to say We'll try. Got a little sticker right there by the
Got
camera.
a little sticky note, like that's going to make a difference.
Well, the first story we have, Robert Mueller passed away at the age of 81. He's the sixth director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. All right, enough of that music. All right. He was actually hired September 4th, 2001, 7 days before 9/11 happened, and he is known as a dirty cop in the circles out there. Some meme says here, Robert Mueller, FBI chief during the 9/11 investigation. How'd that one turn out? And FBI priorities, 1 through 10 listed there. Cover up 9/11 anthrax, cover up 9/11 anthrax. Yeah, he didn't do too much for us there. And lastly, oh, and I lost it. Where'd it go? Here it is. Donald Trump not being too stellar right now, but he did say, Robert Mueller just died. Good. I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people. President Donald Trump. That's kind of like the pot calling the kettle black, but he said it.
Classy as always.
Yes. Boy. And Anna Paulina says, we heard from the 9/11 Truth, 9/11 family. We've heard from the 9/11 families that MI6, the UK intelligence agency, was of more help than the FBI. Ezra Cohen invited me to speak recently to the board that oversees the release of the files, and I asked them to release them fully. This is information that belongs to the American people. She was quoting a post by Jack Posobiec, where he said, did you know the 28 pages show that 2 9/11 hijackers tied to Saudi intelligence rented a room from an FBI informant in California before the 2001 attacks? The director of the FBI kept this covered up for years. His name? Robert Mueller. So I posted, yeah, we've been trying to tell people like you for 7 years. There was a post I had on Facebook from March of 2019. It says, I'm Robert Mueller. While I was in charge of the FBI, I said there was no way the FBI could have known about the 9/11 beforehand, even though some of the hijackers lived with an FBI informant. Whoops. That one went viral for some reason, more than I would normally get. 4,500 views, 274 likes. But more importantly is that Anna Paulina Luna is still putting pressure. Hope to see more from her on this and that it's just not lip service. But stay tuned. We'll find out. Next news story. Exact replica of the destroyed Twin Towers set to be erected in Chicago as part of enormous new science hub. British aerospace engineer student Raphael Chrysler has proposed constructing 2 skyscrapers as part of a district he calls the World Technology Center, which would share its initials with the original site. He has pitched the project as a science, engineering, technology, mathematics, STEM hub of the Windy City. Chrysler, who lives in England, created renderings of the center that shows the 2 iconic towers resurrected in Chicago's South Loop, although the wider windows covered with bright blue glass. And they do have a Facebook page. I want to thank Jerry for sharing this information. Here's their World Technology Center on Facebook. You could follow them there. They also have an X page where they are actually sharing their finite element designs on the construction of what they would like to do. And here you can see they're fully into it. Rendering information. They have drawings out. These are legit drawings. You can go to their website too. The website is at worldtechcenter.org. And on the home page, you can click down Vision. If I get there fast enough, come on. Or not Vision. what's vision, technical specifications. And on the technical specifications, you could see elevations and snapshots of different drawings that they have out. At the bottom of the page, you can see even more technical details, which I brought up here. Here are some elevations of the buildings. And these are legit drawings. They have their the title box block in the bottom right. Here is a floor plan that you could see. And I did check this out. It says 6,300 centimeters for the distance. If you convert that to feet, that's 206 feet, which is the exact width of the World Trade Center 1 and 2 towers. So these are going to be legit, same sized, proposed drawings for what they would like to create. One thing that is different, it looks like they're designing it a little bit different, because here are drawings for what would be a typical vertical box column. But down in the title box block, it says towers vertical steel box column, concrete filled. And we know that the box columns in the World Trade Center towers were not concrete filled. Once you have them concrete filled, you'd have to reinforce the steel even more, because that's considerable more weight coming down on the building. And Jerry, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add to this news update.
Well, just that they've made some changes. They've had to, in the plans, they've had to widen the stairwells and have more stairwells, because that wouldn't be to code. The towers weren't to code in that sense. The core is 2 meters wider than the towers one was. The towers were 209 feet in total for the perimeter, but the core is slightly bigger than this. But it would be very interesting to approach this guy and say, look, we've got a full height model of the original towers. Why don't you take that and do a comparative between the SAP 2000 model that we have and the model that you've produced, to show what you've done? And we might get a better, more full SAP 2000 model out of that if he was to take us up. But yeah, these look like legit drawings, don't they?
They are, yes. Really interesting. I'm going to definitely try to reach out to this gentleman. So thank you, Jerry, for that.
The columns in the actual building were like 6 inches thick at the bottom, if I remember right. And then they got thinner as you went higher.
Correct.
I think filling them with concrete is going to be a really bad idea.
You're definitely gonna have to beef up the steel even more. So we'll see. Keep an eye out.
Well, that depends on what kind of gap you've got in the center of the box.
Right.
If you think about it, if you look at some of the lower core columns in the original Twin Towers, there's very little airspace in there.
Yeah, it was mostly steel. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next story. The Web.io. Ian Carroll and his development team released the 9/11 data sets, 40.3 thousand documents, totaling 189.1 thousand pages. It's now available up on the website. You can go to theweb.io and log in, and you'll be presented with something that looks like this. And I just want to give a quick preview of what you're going to be looking into, not Hinduism. He also uploaded all of the
religious text.
Thank you. So we have Jeffrey Epstein, 9/11 FOIA and Government Records Archive, the FBI vault files, and a load more stuff on the religious texts. So if I say I create an investigation and I have a 9/11 master investigation, on the left you have what is called a canvas, where you can drag things out to and create your own storyboard. And if I can get myself here, let's move over. And I did 2 quick little things, one on Building 7 and one on a lady by the name of Dana Lesserman. And Joshua knows a lot more about this than I, but he's driving. He might not be able to share. But I just wanted to show you how I did something here. I said, I took an article that was on a Covert Action magazine. Court filing exposes 9/11 cover-up. And it talks, and I'll just read a little here. Central to the cover-up was Commission Chief Philip Zelikow. Commission investigator Dana Laceman, dubbed CS2 in the filing, told representatives of the official military commissions, the legal body overseeing the prosecutions of the 9/11 defendants, that Zelikow consistently sought to blunt inquiries into Saudi involvement with the hijackers. Lesserman, am I saying that right? Lesserman was formally charged with investigating the possible link between Riyadh, and I mispronounced that too, Riyadh, thank you, and 9/11 attacks, but Zelikow, that's the proper way to pronounce that, was determined that would not succeed. His destructive efforts included blocking Lesserman's requests to conduct interviews with certain individuals of interest and obtain documents that could shed light on Riyadh's foreknowledge of, if not actual participation in 9/11, and by extension, the CIA's. More widely, Zelikow had exclusive control over who the commission did and did not interview, and what topics, strictly limiting which witnesses were grilled and evidence heard. Lesserman was fired by Zelikow in April 2003 after obtaining a classified index to the House and Senate's joint inquiry into 9/11 from a source other than official channels. The index listed sensitive documents possessed by the FBI and other U.S. government agencies detailing suspected Saudi involvement in the 9/11 attacks. While a minor security violation, Zelikow summarily terminated Lesserman and seized the index. News of her defenestration did not leak at the time. No other staffer was permitted to view the document thereafter. Not too much later, she had gotten a cancer and a year later passed away. I forgot what year that was exactly, but I was interested. What was she digging into here? And what I asked, I put in that document and asked a question about her, came back with a bunch of information. And what's neat about the WebIO, it will source and footnote everything so that you can come in and it makes a statement about something and you can click and it brings up the exact document where it mentions that. And you can pin it to your canvas. So I've now laid out a little story that I just really quickly want to go through, like really, really quickly. So you have Dana Laceman, and she had certain documents where she was doing an investigation. She was on Team 1. As you can see here, she is Dana Laceman. And what they were looking into, key questions of the investigation, suggested readings, document requests, interview candidates, did that twice. And she even put in what exact questions they were going to be looking into. And you can click through and see all the questions that she was about to ask. And then later on, at some point, Zelikow got involved and said, no, you're not going to do any of this. And they pulled those files. So no one can get to those files on what her answers were to those questions. I find it interesting that the name Bandar Bush, or Prince Bandar bin Sultan, came up, and this is what they found, other people. He was married to a lady named Haifa bin Faisal, who was the king's daughter or granddaughter, something like that. And they find out that she was been given money, if I can bring this up somewhere here, through these documents, and I pinned them through here. And for those that don't know who Bandar Bush is, I have some pictures of him. This is Bandar Bush with George Herbert Walker Bush, him with George Herbert Walker Bush fishing, him with George Herbert Walker Bush at another event, him with George W. Bush, and a very famous picture that we've all seen, or a lot of us have seen. Oops, I'm going to ask somebody to mute.
Yeah, that's John Bottomley, and make me co-host so that I can do it.
Oh, yeah. I got Jack. I got to put you on mute real quick, and it's not working for me. And I can't find Sandra. Forgive me, guys. Give me a second while I make Sandra co-host so she can take care of the stuff while I'm doing this. If I can find her.
Yeah, it should be a black screen.
Where are you? Sandra. And my eyes aren't working anymore. There we go. Confirm.
Yeah,
okay, good. In this picture, we see Bandar Bush. His nickname was Bandar Bush because he was so often at the White House with George W. Bush, Condoleezza Rice, and Dick Cheney. Wonder about this guy. Well, we find out again, Bandar Bush's wife was being given money. And I'm going to read 3 documents that popped up from this WebIO app. And it says here at the bottom, what happened to my thing there? I must have moved something. About 2 months after Bayoumi, that's Omar al-Bayoumi, he's the intelligence asset from Saudi Arabia, was shown he basically met al-Madar and al-Hazmi, the two of the alleged hijackers. Newsweek learned that al-Bayoumi's wife began receiving regular stipends, often monthly and usually around $2,000, totaling tens of thousands of dollars. The money came in from a cashier's checks purchased from Washington Riggs Bank by Princess Haifa bin Faisal, the daughter of the late King Faisal and wife of Prince Bandar, the Saudi envoy who was a prominent Washington figure and personal friend of the Bush family. It says over here, the Saudi government reacted angrily Monday to suggestions that the wife of a leading diplomat funneled money to men who assisted the September 11th attacks. At issue are payments by Ambassador Bandar bin Sultan's wife, Princess Haifa Al Faisal, to the wives of Omar al-Bayoumi and Osama Baznan. U.S. officials believe those men provided financial support to two of the hijackers while terrorists lived in the United States. And lastly, one more document. Newsweek, which broke the story, said that payments of around $3,500 a month went from the princess's account at Washington Riggs Bank to the family of Saudi national Omar al-Bayoumi, who studied in California and befriended al-Madar and al-Hazmi. And that was just me starting to go down this rabbit hole.
And just like those last 3 documents that you showed, those came with the data sets from the WebIO?
Yes.
The only one that you put in there was the actual news story from Covert Action Magazine.
Yes. And that's another beautiful thing. If you want to add information to this, if you subscribe to the upper tier, then you can upload your own documents. You go to data sets, my data sets, and I have 9/11 files part 2, and you can start to upload your own files into this. So
anything you ask the WebIO is going to search not only the basic data sets that are already in there, but it'll include anything that you've fed it.
Yes.
If you're looking for parallels, connections, stories that have to draw information from all of these documents, it's going to come back and, give you all the sources.
Again, this isn't for you to ask the question, what is the truth about life or 9/11 or whatnot? This is more of, if you're creating a report as a journalist and you want to footnote everything and you find original primary sources, this will help you follow through in the investigation. I wanted to ask it more because I know a lot of people are turned off about the whole Saudi connection, and I dig it. So I wanted to get more into my favorite topic, Building 7. I asked it, what is the single greatest piece? And I know some people are going to disagree with this, and that's fine. We're all different in this. What is the single greatest piece of evidence for the controlled demolition of 1, 2, and 7? And it said that would be the NIST saying that there was free fall acceleration. And in this document, they say 32.196 feet per second. When you check it, I even went into, and I drug these from the national, NOAA.gov website, and said, what is at that exact location where Building 7 is at 622 feet, because the ground level of Building 7 at that location is 12 meters above sea level. So the building was 610 feet. I'm messing something up there. 12 feet higher. So the 610 plus 12 is 622. I said, what would the acceleration of gravity be at that altitude? And for those that aren't super nerdy, the latitude will actually decrease. The higher you go up, it decreases the acceleration of gravity. So at that elevation, it's only marginally different. And I asked what the difference would be in 105 feet or over 2.25 seconds between the two different accelerations, and it's 1 inch. So over 105 feet or in 2.25 seconds, the difference is 1 inch, and that's negligible. But it's basically saying the contradiction remains. The free fall acceleration indicates no resistance from the structure below, which is physically impossible in a natural progressive collapse, but characteristic of controlled demolition where all supports are removed simultaneously. I'm then going to continue down this rabbit hole and say, okay, what are the official what are the explanations from official sources denying free fall or trying to talk out of the free fall acceleration? And we're going to get into the whole kink in the building and when the clock started and all that stuff. But just an interesting, and I talked so much about that. Interesting. That ends at 5:20, the time when that building fell at free fall acceleration. And I use this as an opportunity to say a quick prayer for 9/11 justice. So if you just take a moment with me real quick, we'll do that. Lord, come to you right now. I thank you so much for everyone involved in the 9/11 Truth movement. Sincerely, genuinely, I know we all don't agree on things, but we all, I hope, do want justice. And that's why we're doing this all this many years later. And I just pray that you would give us wisdom, protect us, and guide us. In your name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, guys. All right, so that's the Web I.O. And did Tristan join, by the way?
I haven't seen him. No.
Okay, just want to look out for that.
Can that website be posted in the chat?
Yes, theweb.io. You got that for me real quick? There is a tiered, because Ian's paying for this all of his own pocket. For him, hang on, John or Jack. Ian paid, I think, $5,000 to get all these 9/11 files up there. I forget how much more he paid to get the Epstein files up there. He thinks because of doing this tiered system, he's trying to basically just break even right now. He can, at $20 a month, he can maintain just everybody uploading their whatever they want to upload at the basic level. But for the big people that want to upload millions of documents, there is a higher price item that you can get into. Like if you want to start uploading books and things like that. So just keep your eye on that. He's not trying to rip anybody off. He's not trying to get rich on this. He's just trying to cover the basic costs of uploading this information to these servers. So
that's cool as hell. It's one
is.
heck of a project.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's really for deep dives, and it's for deep dives that are not tainted by, the stuff, by the algorithms of the official internet that's going to interfere and warp information or only give you what they want you to see and so on like that. So it's just primary source stuff.
Mm-hmm. Is Tristan back on? There's Tristan here.
Where?
I don't see him.
No.
Okay, so Tristan might not be able to make it. He's in the UK, but what he's been doing, I'm just going to share. Oh, is it Germany?
Yeah.
My bad. What he's been doing is getting information together on explosive sounds, and he's isolated the sounds, and he's even put in little markers to show you where the explosions happen on common videos that were available to the public. And what I did is just set them up. There's about 10 of them here, but each clip's only about 15 seconds long. And down in I think it's down the bottom right, you'll see a little boom symbol where he has isolated it. You might not hear it so clear here because I'm showing you the very end where he just put the original file on. So here's one video by Nina Pineda, ABC 7 News. You can kind of read all that. I'm just going to play the videos. Here's one instance where an explosion was heard as World Trade Center, the North Tower. We have two of them on the North Tower. Here's the first one.
The subway cover, so put it, with the jacket over, the three of us, all of us huddled together. There was, dust and whatnot everywhere.
Oh my God, down!
It was real hard to hear. It's like a.
Oh my God, down!
Now you got him. He's even done distance calculations on how far away the camera was from where the thing. So you see the building was already starting to collapse, but then you hear the boom later. So that's what he's taken into account here. That was this first one. The next one we got. Antani Soiree. And again, I got to admit, I can't hear anything there, but he is, I guess, big into audio analysis and was able to isolate these sub booms that can't be heard very easily just from the regular speakers. I guess you have to have good earphones and all kinds of audio equipment. But that's the two North Towers and a whole bunch on the South Tower. I'm just going to play them through one at a time without trying to interrupt. Here we go.
Get to the base of the World Trade Center. You can see the firemen assembled here, the police officers, FBI agents, and you can see the two towers. Huge.
By not collapsing immediately, the towers saved many lives. But a key question remained. Did their ultimate failure mean something was wrong?
The side of the Pentagon, the left front, which faces sort of toward the cemetery, I would say.
There we go. Again, we'll try to get these available to everybody. Amazing job by Tristan in doing this. There were some he has on Building 7 as well, and some miscellaneous ones that he put in there, and I'll try to get them available to everybody as soon as I can. So there's that. We went through the explosions. The only other news I have, Richard Gage, the explosive destruction of the 3 WTC high-rises on 9/11. Richard presents on the Chris Michaels show. Again, I didn't get the next two things I'm going to talk about. I didn't get a chance to watch them yet. So, Richard, forgive me, but did you have any takeaways from speaking with Chris Michaels or how it went?
No, just that this is the latest 90-minute presentation that I've given, and he let me kind of run with it. So it is more of a presentation than an interview, which is great if you're after the evidence, which is what I'm after giving. So providing. So coming up though in another week, we have an even more in-depth presentation. So I would say this is a 1-hour presentation, actually. The next one is a 90-minute coming up in a week.
Excellent.
And so we get into some deeper detail next week, but this is one you can and should share.
So your next interview, you'll be talking to Chris Michaels again then?
No, that'll be James, oh dear, Jerry will remember his name. He's from England, Scotland actually, and he contacted us because he was flying around the Northwest, and he said, "Hey, I got to get you on tape." He's one of the most popular podcasters in the UK, and his interviews get 1 to 3 million views.
Nice. Jerry, do you know who that guy is?
There it is, James English.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing because he's called James English and he's Scottish.
Okay.
So
don't hold it against him. All right.
England and Scotland are basically the same. You don't have to
Oh my goodness! Don't say that to Jerry.
Oh.
Right, I'm getting a plane ticket. Where is he from?
All right. Thank you, Richard, for that. And you're still working on Crime Scene to Courtroom episode 6. Richard's so busy,
Yes.
he's not going to get it out in March, but it is coming soon.
Coming soon.
Right on. Thank you, sir. And the other one that I didn't get a chance to watch yet, so that's why you're not going to see a like on it yet, because I'm going to wait till I watch it. Craig McKee was on the Tap Talk on exposing 9/11. Craig, any takeaways from that interview? How that went?
Yeah, a few actually. I was quite comfortable with my presentation, I guess. A lot of it was stuff that is also included in the Turning the Tide thing, but I have to say that my impressions of that particular meeting were not very positive. And particular how the meeting was hosted, and it felt a bit like an ambush, to be honest. But I'm okay with being challenged. I don't have a problem with being challenged. But anyway, if you want some entertainment, I think it's there's a lot of entertainment value in that recording. If anybody is interested, but yeah, I had some issues with it, some serious issues with the way it was handled.
Yeah, I watched about half of it, and so I'm still missing parts. It seemed the two big things seemed to be the question about why focus on the witnesses at all. If if all that other evidence says that there were no plane parts, isn't that sufficient? Why do you even have to bother talking about the witnesses? And I guess you were trying to make the point that, you have to look at everything and can't just run with one thing. And the other one was, it seemed there seemed to be I don't know, a very strong desire, I guess I don't know how else to put it, for you to work with Adam Eisenberg. And I mean, there was a whole section about that, of just
right,
leave your issues behind and just you're on the same page, work together. What's the problem? It's like, I don't know, just it seemed a little odd, but
it was odd. And I think people love to characterize conflicts about substance with personal issues, and people telling me, like, come on, just get over the personal stuff. And it's really not about personal stuff in the sense of, like, oh, we just had a tiff, or we just had a personality clash. The problem I have, and the problem that arose between us, is much deeper than that. And I think I expressed that on the talk, during the talk. So yeah, I mean, what I said was, I'm very happy that Adam describes not seeing plane parts at the Pentagon. And I was asked, well, why did you ever cite that? And of course, the answer is, I have cited that. I've put it in past presentations. I think I did that when I presented to the Boston group. So I'm very happy. But I also admitted that Eisenberg did a presentation to TAP a few weeks ago that was, the main talk was 4 hours long, and then with the Q&A it was 5 hours and 20 minutes long, which was like an endurance test for anybody that participated. And all I can say is that the bulk of it was focused on partly it was taking little kind of shots at different people, including me, but that's okay. But a lot of it was spent on this guy, Lee Wheelbarger, who he's arguing, was at the Pentagon and kind of involved in the whole cover up or the whole operation. And, after watching that, and after having many private conversations with Adam Eisenberg over many months, I still don't get the point of the whole Wheelbarger thing. I still don't get where's the big breakthrough that comes from finding out that some guy at the Pentagon was involved in the operation. Like, that to me is not a big shock. People who work at the Pentagon are involved in 9/11. That doesn't really knock it out of the park for me. So I'm still a bit befuddled as to what the heck the whole point of it all is. But I appreciate that he didn't see any plane parts, and that's the part I would I would take from it.
Yep. If anybody wants to see that, you can go to Tap's Rumble channel, and I'll put that link in the show notes. So you got a hand up, Mike.
I'm assuming Mike Figo.
Okay, no hand now.
No.
No.
There he is.
There you go.
Mike Perazzo, sorry.
Oh, Mikey. Okay. Would you
doing?
please put a Y at the end of your name? Because there's way too many Mikes.
I don't know how. Can you do it for me? I'm
No,
on
it's
a
okay. We
phone
know who
right
you are now.
All good.
Okay. Yeah, so I was on Facebook a few minutes ago and I was looking at some stuff, and this interview with Alex Jones came up from a long time ago. And are you familiar with a guy named I think his name is Russo?
Andre Rousseau, yes. Seismologist.
No, Aaron Russo.
Oh,
Aaron
yeah.
Rousseau, yes.
Yes.
Freedom to fascism, yes.
Whatever happened to that guy?
He passed away a long time ago.
Oh.
Quite young.
He was a truther though, correct?
Oh yeah.
Okay. And was the death suspicious, or?
I think some would say that, yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm only asking because I'm a young 9/11 truther and I don't know the full story, so
That's
part
totally
of
okay, Mikey.
Heck yeah.
ask a question.
There's a lot of
Okay.
things that even people who've been around for 20 years still don't know.
Yeah, if you didn't get a
Including
chance, I
myself.
will, since you've asked that, Mikey, I'll put the link in the show notes. If you haven't seen his documentary, America, Freedom to Fascism, it's a great one to see. I don't know if anybody
Yikes, I need to see that.
has any other ones that he
I
put
want to
out.
watch that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good
Okay.
one.
I think it's worth mentioning too that I believe it's in that documentary, he talks about the fact that he was befriended by a member of the Rockefeller family and he was told in February of 2001, if my memory serves me correctly, that there was going to be an event later that year, like a major event, and basically, this Rockefeller, I forget which member of the Rockefeller family it was, but basically, sort of treated him as if he was kind of a sympathetic ear and kind of told him about this.
Susie
So
says
it's
it
worth
was
watching
Nelson
that.
Rockefeller.
Was it Nelson? Are you sure?
That's what you put in the chat. And Roy says Nick Rockefeller, so I don't know.
Yeah, I would say it's more likely that than Nelson. I don't think it was
All right.
Nelson. Yeah.
Okay.
It was Nicholas Rockefeller.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
There's something that nobody else is mentioning. I was waiting for somebody else to come up with it. It was James Corbett. I think it's like his most recent thing, or just 2 or 3 days ago, or yesterday or something. He published a reference to something he did 10 years ago about Nick Rockefeller. And there's a deep dive into it. It turns out that I guess the main point is that Nick Rockefeller was not a Rockefeller at all. He was a complete fraud.
Oh,
And
wow.
yet he got into the highest tiers of Davos and Harvard and the Harvard Business School what is it? Not the Council on Foreign Relations. He was a man. There it is. You got it. Yeah, that's very interesting. Corbett's thing on that. So, but he apparently did know things. And he was tolerated by the real Rockefeller family, which is commented on. It's very interesting. I recommend it to anybody who has an interest in Russo and his relation with this so-called Rockefeller.
All right, there you go. We got two things. Freedom to Fascism. We'll put the link of that. And Corbett Report, you can get to it at corbettreport.com on the homepage. I think it's the third video on the bottom. Who is Nick Rockefeller? So more rabbit holes to go down. Thank you, guys. We'll go to Ross.
Yeah, hello. So I'm going to give it to be moderator's choice. Would you rather have me address the question of who did it on 9/11, which is the #1 question I get on the streets in New York? Or would you rather have me address irrational desires? Or would you rather have me address the topic of irrefutable evidence?
Irrefutable evidence is going to be, whatever you'd like to do.
Okay, all right. I guess I'm most prepared for the irrefutable evidence right now. because I just was going through it in my head a couple hours ago. So yeah, I guess I'll start. I'd say we need to, and we have been getting more accurate with our presentations about the evidence about World Trade Center 1 and 2, the towers. And Richard, I saw that interview that he did, the hour-long one this week or last week, and it's gotten better. I see that a lot of the things that I was hoping to see, in other words, he's talking about the towers being blown up in midair. You know, he says pulverized. I still prefer the word vaporized now, but he says pulverized. I think that is because Richard is talking about like it's an explosion imparted onto the building, and so it's imparted from an explosive device. So it's pulverizing, but he says in midair. So I think that's really good. I do think, and I'm guilty of this misinformation though that we've been having, because we haven't gotten into enough detail with towers 1 and 2. The misinformation one, and I'm guilty of it. I've been saying, and Richard said it, you've got, these floors were 1 acre in size, and that is true. But when you're talking about the tenant spaces and those floor trusses, the lightweight steel web joists, that those floors, that wasn't part of the core, obviously, and so it's only 75% of that floor area. In other words, not an acre for each floor. It's more like 75%. So he said, and Richard said, 110 acres for the building. That is the amount of concrete, but not. It kind of sounded like he was talking about the tenant floors and those trusses, and that's only really 80 acres worth. So that would be an important detail going forward, I think. But
good point, Rob.
The other main thing, yeah, I think I've been wanting to kind of go through those numbers, and I have. The other more important one, though, I think the most important one that is being put out by a lot of different people, not by me, but I've been saying the same thing about the elevators. Everybody's been saying, well, the elevators shafts were how they access the core columns. It was from the elevator shafts. But of course, if you look at the way the building was, it was that innovative design, very innovative for a high rise, where you had the 3-tiered system, the 2 sky lobbies. So if you look at the plans and you look at the lower level plans up to the 43rd floor sky lobby, you have a lot of elevator shafts there. And that's because of the main express elevators on both sides. One bank of them went only up to the 43rd floor. Yeah, it's a good diagram, but that doesn't show you in plan, what's really going on. That's more.
Yep.
But anyway, so you have the bank of elevators that go up to the 43rd floor, and then on the other side you have the big bank of big elevators that go up to the 77th floor. Okay, but in the middle you have all the local elevators. And in other words, if you look at all the columns that you could actually access, all right, let's go from the top and then down. So from the top, which I'll call the top, anything from above the second sky lobby, 77th floor up, you can only count 16, well, actually 13 columns out of the 47. There should have been 48, but that's a different topic for today. But there were 47 core columns. And the top tier, the top third, 77th floor up, you only have access from the elevator. There you go. There's a good diagram. Those are the express elevators. Okay. So the middle local elevators are the ones that you'd have access to all those columns. And there's some better, plans that obviously show where the columns are. That doesn't show that. But the local elevators would be everywhere, going at each third, and they are the ones that give you the access to the core columns all the way up, and you get only 13 when you're talking about the actual elevator shafts. And of those 13 columns, the only ones that are actually accessible all the way around, in other words, 360 degrees without going into the tenant space or the corridors or cutting through drywall or mechanical shafts, there's only 6 out of that 13 columns out of the 47 that you could access all the way around. In the top third, there we go. That's a good one. That's the kind of drawing I'm talking about. That's what I'm referring to when I do my calculations. So in other words, only 6 columns are fully accessible from elevator shafts from the top third. If you go on, and that means and then from the second tier, the 43rd floor up, you have basically twice as many of that going on.
Let
in
me
terms
real
of just
quick, real quick, Ross, to help people looking at that aren't familiar with looking at construction drawings. These large X's, these boxes with the X's are the elevator shafts, and he's talking about the ones in the middle of the floor. These ones down in the lower section are the express elevators that went straight up to the top, and these ones went in roughly up to each 1/3 of the building. So you can see how, like in this drawing here, here's a column. You could only really get to this column from within one of these two elevator shafts. Okay.
Right. There's 6 of those columns that are like that one if you're showing there.
Yes.
Yeah. The other ones are, see that PE, those elevators on top, the bigger ones and the ones below. This is obviously a plan of the lower 43rd floors of the building, because the upper floors don't have those elevators because they don't go to those other sky lobby areas, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
You get basically you've got 16 columns that are available for the top third. You've got 33 columns that are available in the middle third. And of course, then all the columns are available in the bottom third. However, those columns are not accessible 360 degrees around from the elevator shafts. So in other words, the elevator shaft idea, I think is we're misleading people by saying, well, yeah, you just had all this access to the columns from the elevator shafts. It's really not that much, especially on the top third. And we know the part I'm interested about all of 9/11 is that 10.5 seconds where the concrete, and I'm not talking about the steel frame part coming down. I'm talking about just the concrete floors and the contents of the building. Those 10.5, 11.5 seconds, that time frame is where the main explosives occur, not the theatrical ones, but the really big ones. And you really would have not been able to plant them just from the elevator shafts there. You would have had to have some other access to those columns or spent the time to access them from other locations. And,
quick comment,
yeah.
Ross. Where you didn't have access from the elevator shafts because the shafts maybe weren't there because they stopped down below, that square foot area would be taken up either by office space or some utility closet or whatever. There's still access. It's just that, like you say, it may not be specifically the elevator shafts.
Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Of course, there's access to everything if you want to get it.
Yeah.
The column is there. So, but we've been saying you get there from the elevator shafts. The Ace Elevator Company had this contract. I mean, it's just not good enough for me. But anyway, you'd have to say, well, there were a lot of contractors that are going through the drywall. There was a lot of stuff. They weren't necessarily elevator contractors. I mean, the elevator contractors really couldn't have done that much. So,
I just want to add one quick thing here. This famous video or this extra bit of column, this is a core column in the north west corner of the core of World Trade Center 1. And I want to show you which column that would be. This column that's sticking up that eventually does fall. Here we see a whole bunch of core columns that were still standing. I want to show you, I'm not on the right floor, so you'll have to forgive me. This drawing is actually from a lower floor, but it was this. And correct me if I'm wrong, Jerry, but I think it's these corner of the core columns. You could see this is just my hypothesis. They probably didn't get everything the whole way around that column to be able to compromise it, because from the elevator shaft, you really only have access to half of that side without standing out into the floor in front of everybody and putting something on the column on the outside on the floor plan. They only had a little bit of access.
And then you see the HVAC duct on the side of it there.
Yes, right here. Yep.
on 501 column on the corner there, you got an HVAC duct. So you're not putting a cutting charge all the way around that column very easy.
Correct.
But they did do that.
Yep.
But only at the theatrical part where, the top starts to fall. That's the only time they got all the way around all these columns.
Yep.
And that didn't happen, of course, in that column, the spire there. That was just above that, where that spire was, where they did the cut on that column.
I think they would have had to have done that all the way down, though. I kind of disagree with you. I think what you're saying is after the first 3 or 4 seconds, there may have been enough gravitational kinetic energy to smash the rest of the building. I don't agree with that.
No. I'm not saying that at all, but I am disagreeing with you that they did not cut that column all the way down. Definitely not. In fact, it's standing. So it either didn't work, as I think some people think that, they had a failure there, the explosives. But what I'm saying, no, I disagree with you. They didn't want to cut those columns all the way down. They didn't have to. But I'm agreeing with you in saying what was that first other part, which was that I can't remember that the second half of your argument I kind of agreed with, but the first part where they didn't, they had to cut the columns all the way down. No, they didn't. I don't think they did.
Yeah.
And that's why they're standing still as a spire and as a frame.
But there's only a few of them standing. The rest of them were cut.
Well, in Tower 2, they're World Trade Center 2, the whole thing is standing. The whole court.
The whole core?
Yeah. For, like 12 seconds after the, 10 and a half second, vaporization of all the floors.
Are you sure?
The whole
floor? Huh.
Yeah. The whole frame, the whole core.
Yeah.
It's still standing on World Trade Center 2. It's pretty much the whole core. Maybe it's just
there goes the second tower.
Sorry, guys. Let me mute that. I just wanted to show.
That's Tower 1, but
Sandra wants to move on because we are getting into the weeds here and going to lose some people. But what I want to show here is these columns that you're seeing. You'll see several of these core columns. They break off. Here, just watch the video. These are the core columns.
There goes the second tower. Unbelievable.
There you saw the one fall over. There, this one's falling over. They're breaking. This is roughly at the 60th floor too, and then that section of core columns just goes straight down eventually. But
I say most of them have been cut by this point, though.
Yeah, but you can see it clearly. They fall to the side. There's one that falls sideways.
Yeah,
this section falls sideways.
Oh, let me modify what I was saying about cutting of those core columns. All of them were cut at the bottom. At the very bottom, that I agree with. I'm just saying they weren't cut sequentially down the building.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Jetty, Jetty, you're gonna have something to say.
It wasn't so much about the weeds; it was about the 5 hands up.
Oh, okay. 10-4.
Yeah.
Oh, but sorry, I'll finish. The core columns at the bottom of the building, they weren't cut. I don't believe. The footing was taken out. The concrete footing was blown up. They weren't actually cut because they were way too thick down at the base to be cut. But the explosions that we all know about that occurred early, that was partial. That was to begin to take out those setting bed concrete footings. Okay.
See if I could find that clip where Richard showed the thickness of the steel as you went down the building. It was around here somewhere. Come on, it was right off the truck. There it is.
That was it.
It's so hard when it's so small. It's right after this. Here we go. I just want to show you guys, like, these were tree trunks, basically. Here we go. Light steel up at the top. And as you go down the building, we got to push play. Come on. Here we go. Box columns get thicker and thicker.
Kelly made this.
Oh, nice. Even put in an intermediary piece of steel. It's basically solid steel there, practically. Oh, all right. Jetty, go ahead.
And they were big. And one last thing. I remember now what I was saying about Richard's comments there. Yeah, no, I don't think the building didn't crush itself. I didn't say that. It was blown up all the way down sequentially. It just wasn't cutting charges on the columns on the frame. That's all.
Gotcha. Thanks, Russ.
Thank you. Jetty, go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with the whole concept that these cores were cut. If you look at the drawings, not just the architectural drawings, but if you look at drawing book 3, which outlines the core columns and where they were spliced every 3 floors. They're not staggered the way that the perimeters were. So you've got all the splices in the same floor. They're not designed to take any kind of lateral force at all. So all you have to do is attack the splice. Once you attack the splice and then you emit any kind of lateral force to that core, then it's going to go. So all you have to do is melt that splice, melt the bolts that are going through the splice, and the core column's going to go. You're not talking about like a diagonal 32-degree cut or whatever it is that they do in normal columns, because once the building's coming down, then the core is going to be subjected to huge lateral force, and that's enough. Just to take those splices out is enough. On the spire, that looks like column. It doesn't look like the corner core column to me. It looks like the ones in the middle. It looks like 701, 801, around about there, and right at the very top of the spire, the highest bit, there was a escalator outside the core for people to go up and down. So it was heavily reinforced, which actually makes it a bit more confusing as to why that bit would stand. But that doesn't appear to me to actually be the corner core. When you... Sorry, Richard.
Back to your first point, though. Sorry, you may not have finished your second point. I have a question on your first point.
Okay, on you go.
Okay. You said when the building comes down, because they've attacked the splices, there's a lot of lateral load, I agree. But what causes the building to come down in order to inject that lateral load on the splices if it weren't for lower down cutting those cores?
They've taken in the basement. You know how you see the damage to the marble on the wall and the lobby and the windows going out? In my opinion, that's the building shortening. In other words, the core columns have been cut at the bottom, so they want to shorten, which is why you're getting doors jamming at floor 22, all of this stuff. So the core is actually wanting to pull down, and what is holding it in tension is the floor system. Yeah. So the core's pulling down, but the floor system is holding it. You can actually cut the core twice. If you cut the core at the base, then you're creating an overstress, right?
Yeah.
But by the time you get up to floor 20, floor 30, that overstress is equalized between the core and the perimeter. So you can then cut the core again higher up, and it creates another overstress.
And thus your lateral forces on the spliced connections are the floors that are trying to equalize.
Yes. It's almost like a bow and arrow with the core. You know, it's in tension. Once you've cut the bottom of them, the core is in tension and it wants to pull down more than the perimeter. Yeah. So when you look at it there, as it's coming down, I mean, that's why these windows are busted out. Look at the marble off the wall. Marble doesn't shorten, but steel does. So this is why the marble's popping off the wall, in my opinion, again. But when you get into the actual drawings and you get into the forces and the tolerances of the building, it's differential floor shortening. So it's shortening, it's pulling on it's using the floor system to equalize the overstress. Then it's cut again at the top, then it just goes ping, it wants to come right the way down. Floor 22, the doors are jamming, and they're jamming because the frames that they're in are shortening. There's no other reason. For the building's under no kind of load underneath floor 90 that it's not been subjected to previously. So right. I think you attack the splices. Sorry for going on. I could talk about this for all
I love it too, but the people that aren't technical don't.
and I just, sorry to interrupt, but I just
yeah, you're good.
Tristan just joined the call from Germany. I guess he could have. Hi Tristan, you unfortunately
hello.
Hi. Because we already changed to daylight savings time, the call started an hour earlier for you. So Gene covered.
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, that's okay. Don't.
Yeah.
That's not on you.
Okay.
We gave you the time, and 40. I don't know, 50 weeks out of 52. It's good, but these 2 weeks we're not in sync with Europe. But we will get back to you. I think we're just going to cover the hands that are still up in the air. And then maybe you can weigh in on the videos. We can go back to them and you can share what you know, which might not be everything that we caught. So,
Guten Nacht.
Guten Nacht means you're saying goodbye to him.
Oh.
So,
I said good night. Good evening.
Well, if
I
you
mean,
say
it still works because here it's already very late and very dark as well.
it
So
is,
Okay.
it is. But gute Nacht is really it's when
She
you say
corrects me.
goodbye.
Good to see
maybe
you.
later.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for the invite as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we did, just so you know, we played about 2 of your videos from the North Tower, and the other 8 or 10 videos from the North Tower to show the last 10, 15 seconds, but we'll come back to that. We just get through
The
that.
other one from the south.
All right.
Chuck, anything? Jeez, no. Chuck, your turn.
Hi. So I just want to, from TAP organization, apologize to Craig for being, I think he said, ambushed. And yeah, it was a bad display from Mike as a host. And Mike feels he's, he's championing truth and so on, but there was a bit of an agenda. So apologies for that. There is a link into Tap Talk. We are talking about, these topics. And I'll just say, have a great week, everyone. I have to peel off. But Gene, I'm just going to make an observation that picture you shared where the building is coming down and there's that spire that's standing and then it comes down.
Yep.
In that picture, that spire turns to dust. Okay, I'm just
politely disagree, but okay.
I know, but you shared it and you put it out there. So
I
hey,
did.
peace out, everyone. Take care.
You
Bye,
too.
Chuck.
Bye.
Anyway, okay. Mike Cook. No,
Hey,
he's gone. Hang on a second. I want to show this, and people got to tell me what you guys think. This just bothers me. Hang on a second while I bring it up. 1 second. Share my screen, and the big there's big disagreement on what people think this thing is doing here. This section of core columns, or as Jerry says, it might not exactly be a core column.
Yeah, we're looking at the Pentagon right now.
Hang on, I know I'm getting there. Come on, Spire, bring it.
You just had it, didn't you?
I like this picture better. I think we should stick with this one.
Spire videos, and was it this one? Maybe it was this one.
There goes the second tower. Unfucking believable.
All right, sorry about the swear words there. And this is probably the lesser quality one. You can see these falling over. We just saw one fall over. You'll see a second one fall over, and this one drops straight down. But there's a lot of people that think that turned to dust by some other exotic energy source. But as you can see, the rest of the segment is falling down. And I think it's just static dust that's now was sticking to the column, just sort of coming off of the column.
Yeah, leaving a dust trail.
Here's a close.
Smoke that's rising up along the column from the previously exploded connections. So it's falling through the smoke and some gypsum board and concrete pulverized dust, as you said. You can see the top of that column falling frame by frame. If you separate those frames, the top, it's not turning to dust. You could see the top of the column descending frame by frame.
Yes. And I'll try to, let me stop it when it does.
And again, there's no steel dust in the dust.
So here's the top of it. Let me play a little bit more.
If the steel turned to dust, they'd find steel dust in the dust, but they don't.
Yeah, there you would see
on microspheres.
So you see iron microspheres, which isn't steel. Steel would be, if this thing was turning, being atomized and molecularized, you would see a whole bunch of steel. What would they call it? Steel molecules. That's not even right because it's iron molecules.
Dust particles.
Steel
particles.
You can't see molecules.
Steel pieces.
Particles.
Particles. There we go. Steel particles, and there are no steel particles in the dust, but there are iron oxide or iron
microspheres.
Iron microspheres. Thank you.
And 90 micron particles of concrete that have been
Anyways,
pulled.
we digress.
We digressed again.
Thanks, Chuck. Anyway,
and glass microspheres, all kinds of microspheres, and much smaller ones, vaporized ones, not just steel, but microspheres of a lot of different materials.
Yeah. I lost track. Was it Mike Cook next?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a little something to share. Hopefully, everybody's ridden an elevator and noticed the firefighter key. Firefighters have control.
Mm-hmm.
You can take over full control of an elevator if you got that firefighter key, or if you're working on an elevator, or if you're inspecting one. Okay, this happens all the time. When you got the elevator and you have full control over it, you can stop it anywhere you want.
Mm-hmm.
When you stop it in between floors, you can open the doors, and you're not looking at a lobby, you're looking at an elevator shaft. And unless you wanted a whole hell of a lot of exercise, you are not going to smuggle tons of explosives by hand. You're going to use that elevator to get them staged, and maybe you come from somewhere else to get them, but that's kind of how it works.
Yep. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Susie.
Yes, hi everyone. I just wanted to reiterate again and expound upon what Richard said about access in the towers. During the elevator renovation program, Ace Elevator had access 24/7. There was never a time in the towers where all of the elevators were working simultaneously. Some sections were shut down for maintenance. And just like Mike explained, as far as being in the elevator shafts, they were accessible from the elevators themselves. Also, with access was just about every single telco closet for every office floor was adjacent to the core columns, separated only by sheetrock and conduit runs that were through the sheetrock into the telco closets. In addition to that, I know that it comes under contention about the outer perimeter columns being accessed, like, how everyone would have noticed what was going on. But I just want to point out that each mechanical floor in the towers had a catwalk, a perimeter catwalk, outside the perimeters of the mechanical rooms, which could have lent access to every single mechanical floor perimeter column. So that's all I want to say.
Thank you, Susie. I do want to add, for those that don't know, Susie's dad was Rich Heineman. He was the electrical engineer for the building, World Trade Center 1 and 2. Here's on this drawing, you can see an electrical closet C. So you go into this closet. All that's preventing you from getting to this core is sheetrock, drywall, basically protecting it. So anybody that had a key or access to this electrical closet could get in there and tamper with things.
Wow.
Thank you, Susie.
Hey, Gene, Raul here.
Yes. Hey, Raul.
Don't mean to cut in. Hey,
please
how's
do.
It going? Well, I will, because that's one of the services I provide is interrupting people. That's not exactly how the elevators work with the firefighter key. That's kind of a misnomer. I'll tell you how it works.
Thank you.
The elevator keys, which actually anybody can get them if they break into the box. They're a little more secure now, but if you look at some of the older buildings, they have elevator key use, and they're just like a barrel key, and those are easily pried open. But you put the master key into the elevator control or firefighter control keypad, and yeah, you can seize control over the elevator, but you have to push which floor you're going to. Sorry about that. My dog is just going crazy. So, for example, if I took control of the elevator, I can push floor 7, and the elevator will go to 7. It will not stop between floors. I don't have the ability to stop it between the floors and have that door open into the shaft. That's not how it works.
So the way how it works.
No, it isn't. No, sorry, bud. Sorry, you're wrong. It's phase 1 and 2. It's phase 1 and 2. And when the firefighters take control of it, they can only push a floor and it'll go to that floor. It doesn't stop in between floors.
If somebody's working on an elevator, inspecting it, they've dropped me off in between floors. I know it's possible. Maybe firefighters can't do it, but it is possible.
You would have to come to the shaft through either going out of the roof of the car and getting into the shaft that way, or coming in from above. but firefighters don't have.
I've done that too. I've been through the roof of the car,
That's
especially
okay. You can do that.
especially when it was stuck and we couldn't go anywhere, and I wasn't going to sit there for hours.
I understand that. I've
I
been on lots of elevator rescues for 38 years. I've taken control of the elevators for 38 years, and I'm telling you, we do not have the ability to stop the elevator between floors, have it open up, and stare at a blank wall. The car door will not open like that. It has to engage on the floor without forcing it. So I can go to any floor I want, and it'll go to that floor, and then it'll open up the elevator car door as well as the lobby door, because there's two doors. But I cannot take it in between and say, okay, I want to stop between 7 and 8 and have that elevator car door open. That's not how that works. There's phase 1, phase 2, and now there's phase 3, and neither one of them work like that. I've done it, and I write about it, so I know about it.
I
think the elevator inspections and people working on it, yeah, they can get access to the shaft, but it's not through the firefighter control key and getting control of it from inside the car. If you open it between floors, how do you get out of the car? It opens up into it.
These are people that are working on the elevators or making a repair, and you need to be able to stop and open wherever, and you can climb out, or we can build a scaffold.
Hey, guys, stop talking. It's a lot simpler than that. Haven't you ever been in one of these buildings working like this? You get on top of the elevator cab.
Mm-hmm.
You go from the inside of the elevator, you go through the access hatch to the top, and you have some guy handing you everything you need, and you stop wherever it wants to stop or wherever they tell it to stop.
Mm-hmm.
You're on top of the elevator cab doing this work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's
how they do it.
I'm not saying they don't have access. I'm telling you, the firefighters can't open up in between floors. The door opens and there's a wall there. You can't even get out.
They don't. They don't open the doors. They don't open the doors.
Well,
I appreciate that very much, Raul. Thank you for clarifying. Yep. I've never been a firefighter or run that system.
Yep. Thank
My
you.
dad rode on the top of a car, and that's how he got there, was through the cab.
I'm in construction management, and I see them build. Schindler and Otis come into our projects, and they build just the platform, and they can have it stop wherever they want to stop. But that's while you're building it, and it's just the floor is there. There's no walls or anything. But yeah. Anyway, all right. Thank you all. Tristan, back to you. Explosions.
Yeah, so I would also have a question about the core columns, but less so about the North Tower, because I believe it is in support of controlled demolition. You have these totally destroyed columns. My question would be more so about the South Tower columns, because they look pretty stable, because I believe the consensus is that they had like explosives on every floor, right? And they let them go off one after the other. Of course, there are like varying theories, like the dropping core theory and stuff like that. But if they really did place explosives on every floor, then my question would be with the South Tower core, maybe, I don't know, Gene or Sandra, maybe they can pull up a image. It's like one solid block, if I can call it that. And it doesn't really look damaged until it gets kind of like cut from the bottom. So yeah, my question would just be about that. So did they just stop placing explosives, or?
I think that's what Ross was talking about earlier. Or maybe Richard was mentioning that in the South Tower, it looked a lot more solid towards the bottom than the North Tower did. Richard, or I mean, I'm not qualified to speak on that.
That was me. And yes, no, the frame, the World Trade Center 2, the first tower that fell, its frame was still existing. It didn't go 16 seconds after the disappearance of all the floors and the contents of the building, but it was like about 5 seconds or something. The dust is still, or the dust cloud is still there, hiding a lot of it, but it's the entire core frame is still there.
Well, do
So
we
Yeah,
have
but that's
images of that?
strange, right? That would be like in support of the pancake theory,
well,
where the core stays intact and the floors just fall down on one
Hmm.
another.
well, my whole theory, and I guess people have forgotten about it, is the floors exploded. The
The
coatings were
floors
put in
themselves.
the floors themselves. They're the coating that we find in the dust is a factory applied coating. That means it was done in the factory before before those floors arrived at the site. So the floors exploded, leaving the steel frame. There was the theatrical part, which did require cutting charges to get the tops to fall in free fall speed, the tops. That started the theatrical, that ended the theatrical phase where, the planes hit or whatever hit the planes, I think. But and all that theatrical stuff was before. Once the theatrical stuff stops and the column cutting stops, the building explodes, and that's because the floors are exploding.
So you would suggest that they already planned this building to be demolished in
Exactly.
1970?
Exactly, and there's a lot of
Okay,
evidence for
interesting.
that. There's
Yeah,
a lot of evidence for that.
Just to situate Tristan on this, and I'm not weighing in because I'm not an engineer, but
Yeah, same.
Ross has definitely presented versions of this theory and explanations for it for at least a year or two. Most of us, personally, I have trouble imagining that that could have been part of an original plan. But I don't know everything there is to know. I guess in theory it's possible, but it's not something that I think that most of us really have looked at or truly considered in depth. And Ross is an engineer who has knowledge that we don't. So he can explain it.
I
He
just
can
want to
explain how he
share.
came to that.
These are two pictures from a gentleman. I forgot his name. But he took a picture of this is from Liberty State Park, I believe, when the towers were standing up, and I overlaid the second image he took after or as building World Trade Center 2 fell. And here you could see the original building, and then as it was falling, this stub, which was the core columns for World Trade Center 2. It's really hard to find images or video of the core columns of World Trade Center 2 standing for any length of time. But here you can kind of see, then this, I've corroborated this is not a building behind it or whatnot. This would be the core columns that stood for roughly, I think, 6 seconds in World Trade Center 2.
That's pretty high though. That's like half the building.
Yeah, exactly. Because with the North Tower core columns, so of course I'm not a structural engineer and I don't want to make judgments on that. But just going off intuition, looking at the core columns of the North Tower, they look blown up. But with the South Tower, it's just one solid piece of structure, and it's also pretty close to where the planes hit, right? So,
yes,
I mean, this is, in my opinion, this is pretty, in pretty good support of the pancake theory, in my opinion.
I did another photo kind of like that for World Trade Center 1. This is again roughly in the same direction or perspective. The building where it stood before and after it, that spire, we call it the spire, but it's a core column. The spire is actually the antenna on top. Roughly where it stood, and it's roughly about the 60th floor where that top of that piece was. So,
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and the problem with the pancake theory is there were no pancakes.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, the pancake theory has to have pancakes. But what there was in the 1960s, two other buildings, the Plasco building in Iran and the Alameda Paredes building in Sao Paulo, Brazil, both built in the 60s alongside the World Trade Center. And those people that were involved with that are the same people that were involved with the World Trade Center. And those people, in other words, had the same kind of communication and the same kind of contacts. And the New York City people were scared as hell building those buildings, and they didn't want to do it. So how do you get the courage to actually have that irrational desire and start to do a project of that size, unless you know you can bring them down safely? It didn't start out so sinisterly, but it ended up in a sinister way. But they had to have the confidence that they could bring them down in a good way, an easy way, to begin to even think about building them full height. Because a hurricane hits those things and they don't work right and they tilt, and you've got a whole building full of high-end tenants that they can't fix the building. They can't right it. So you got to bring it down at that point. They got to have a way to do that, and they did from the 60s. It all came from World War II. Rocket V2 rocket scientists that came over from World War II, and they had this ability to make propellant explosives that could be strong like concrete. Okay, there's a lot. Obviously, I could go on for like 2 hours to talk about the evidence there, but
Yeah,
okay.
I do
I
want
mean,
to
that
point
would
out.
also explain why the bomb sniffing dogs didn't, yeah, find the explosives, right? Because they were in the floor, according to your theory.
Yeah, I don't know, the technology has to be tested. I'm not saying we can't figure it out. I'm saying we can. We don't have to rely on the government to tell us what happened, or David Rockefeller. Talk about Nick Rockefeller. What about David Rockefeller and James Corbett's David Rockefeller expose on his biography? You just look at, I mean, he's full of it. David Rockefeller, that kind of knowledge. And yeah, so it's embedded in the concrete. So I don't know if a dog can sniff whatever type of explosive it was, but I think that there was a lot of thermite involved, and I think there was a coating that was the detonator, and I think the detonators occurred in the main elevator shaft that went from the bottom of the building all the way to the top, the mechanical elevator shaft. And what they did, the main work done in the elevators was to install the detonators on each floor, not to install explosives. You couldn't get that many explosives in the building. Anybody who does a calculation to actually show that, you'll realize it couldn't have been done.
I do want to just let everybody know that is Ross's theory. I wouldn't say that everybody agrees with that, but that, yeah. So a lot of people share things, and we all have our own little proclivities on how we interpret the evidence, and that's it. Tristan, I do want to point out, if you haven't seen John Cole's The Last 30 Seconds, you should check it out, because the collapse of World Trade Center 1, a lot of people think that fell in roughly 15 seconds, but what he shows with this bit of core column still standing, that it actually stood for about 33 seconds. And he and Ted did a big discussion with Matthew Sabin. I forgot what organization he's with, where they argued
Oh
about.
yeah, he made that viral animation, right? Explaining
Yes.
it naturally.
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen almost all of John Cole's videos.
Oh,
They're
great.
very good.
And they were basically
I mean,
arguing you can't have the pancake because it would have to go through that. The pancake would have to fall around that.
Yeah. No, I'm usually very skeptic, so I know watching his videos, it was very interesting. A lot
Yeah.
of good points in there.
Yeah, he's
Definitely.
a good guy, John.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Anything else, Tristan?
Well, do you want to? Well, I don't know, because Rose has his hand, but I did want to see if Tristan had anything else to say about the videos that he shared with us.
Yeah, let me come back to you real quick on that, if that's all right. I know it's getting late for you.
No, it's no problem. It's
All
fine.
right. Thank you. Captain Raul Angulo.
Hey, just one more thing on elevators, and this will help clear it up. We just got to be concise. It's very easy to access the shaft, though. If you look at an elevator next time you're around, on the top, very top of the elevator car door, when you're standing in the lobby, there's this little round hole. And they're usually on every floor in the lobby, or they stagger them, okay? But if you have the right key for that, you can open up the lobby door and look right down into the shaft. So that we can do, but that's accessing it from the lobby, not from inside the car.
Yes.
So it's very easy. For example, if they blocked off floor 20 or they rented floor 20, right? Whatever, so that nobody can go to floor 20. You can open up those elevator doors all day long. Now, the problem is you still have the elevators running up and down that shaft.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you'd have to figure out, okay, where's the safe place to stand as this elevator goes zooming by, because otherwise it's like a guillotine. But you do have access through the key from the lobby. And so it is very easy to access the shaft just from not inside the car. And that's all I was saying was that's the firefighters don't take control like that, but with those keys,
Raul,
we can access.
Raul, they had an elevator modernization going on the 9 months prior to 9/11. They shut off those elevators one by one with armed guards. and there's witnesses of those armed guards, and of course
Well,
there's documentation of that elevator modernization.
yeah, no, I know. I'm just talking about access, and there's a little elevator keyhole right there that I'm talking about. If you have the right
Okay,
key,
guys.
which
Okay, guys.
you
But
can
you
make
got to
it.
have a platform to work on. You can't just open the elevator doors and fall down the elevator shaft to work on it. You got to have a platform, and that would be the top of the elevator cab. You get on top of the elevator cab from the access panel inside the elevator cab. You have to have a platform to work on.
I just want to add that you don't need a special key. I may know that all you need is a hanger.
I just
you can
have
do it with
a
a hanger.
question. I just have a question for Ross.
That comment could jeopardize public safety.
No, my bad. Sorry, go ahead, Susie.
I had a question for Ross about a platform. My question would be, like, I was in telco for 12 years, and actually most of my clients were in the towers. I worked with Verizon and dispatched daily telco technicians to install data circuits for the trading platforms for Wall Street. And when there was an issue with the wiring of those data circuits in the conduit, my question is, how do you think that they performed that maintenance on the inside of the core columns?
Well, same way as what I was saying, how they installed the detonators. And by the way, in other words, from the top of the elevator cab. And so the other thing, Susie, you said your father was part of the electrical engineering group there. I would posit, and I'm sure you could confirm it because it's pretty obvious, there's never been two buildings or one building, if you take each tower separately, that had a higher electrical capacity potential than those two towers. They had a huge amount of electrical capacity. The lighting was very inefficient in those days, and those things lit up. There's pictures I've got. They had the whole thing lit up just to prove, we got these towers and that the electricity is good. They had the highest amount in our history of humanity of electrical potential in those buildings, and that was leveraged. And I won't give up too many clues now, but that was leveraged, that power. And I think we should have a FOIA that says to Con Ed, I want to see that bill if you've got it. Did you have a closeout bill to the World Trade Center for what their electrical usage was for that 2-week period or the 10, 11 days in September? And was it like equal to or surpassing a normal monthly bill? That's what I want to know.
That's interesting.
Thank you. We'll go to Jerry.
Yeah, these are enclosed shafts. If you look at the drawings for the building, if you look at the inspections for the elevator inspections, the inside of the elevator shafts were lined with asbestos. You can't access the core columns from the top of an elevator. You can't access them. There's no access there. In my mind, the whole ACE elevator thing is more about being able to lock off a floor and have lots of people wandering around the core of the building and doing stuff, and it not raising too many eyebrows. But the thought that somebody could be standing on top of an elevator actually installing charges on a core column is for the birds. That's just not going to happen. And if you look at the document that I put there from Archive, you can see some of the inspections that happened. You wouldn't, apart from anything else, these were lined with asbestos. Otis Elevators knew that. That's probably why they didn't want the people working in the elevator shafts, because they knew that they were lined with asbestos from top to bottom. But you can't access the core columns from the elevator shafts directly. And the splices the splices are 3 feet above the floor. So that's what you're going to have.
Right.
You're going to have to get 3 feet above floor level every 3 floors. And remember, you've had fires in these buildings, serious fires, in 1975. You're not going to have a building that's rigged with explosives at the time that it's put up. That's just not going to happen.
Well, I agree
It's
with
not.
the first
No,
part.
that's not going to happen. You're never going to have a building that's rigged with explosives in case you want to bring it down someday. That's not going to happen. Not on this planet. Not on this planet. Not on these towers. Not ever.
Well, that's what
Sorry.
you're talking about psychology there, not engineering. You're talking about
No,
psychology.
I'm talking about reality, right?
No, you're
Explosives.
talking about your reality of psychology. I'm talking about engineering, and we have to do the studies
Yeah, I'm
on
talking
that.
about engineering as well. You can't get to the
Are
core
you an
columns.
engineer? Are you an engineer? Is what I'm. Oh, you
Yeah,
are.
I've got
Okay.
2 diplomas in engineering.
Oh, I didn't know. I'm sorry. I didn't know what you were exactly. So I'm glad to hear that at least. But anyway, I agree. They didn't install the explosives from the top of those elevators. They did the wiring like they would do the maintenance of the wiring for the detonation devices, which were wireless, but they need power with line voltage wiring. And that's what was done in the columns from the top of the elevator cab, in my view.
I'd respectfully disagree with you. It's not the time or the place to have that argument, but you've got a serious fire in the North Tower in 1975 that covered 6 floors in the core of the building. For a start,
right.
You're just not going to take that chance. Not on this earth.
Thank you, guys. So let's go to Tristan, and then we're gonna
go around the room.
Then we're gonna go around the room. So Tristan, we did give everybody a quick snapshot of the wonderful videos you put together. Let me find them here. Where you've isolated the explosions. If you don't mind, give us a little background on your ability to do this.
Yeah, so, okay, first of all, thank you. And again, also thank you for the invite. So I would generally consider myself a filmmaker, if not an amateur filmmaker. And actually, I think I told this Richard already when I wrote to him. So originally, I wanted to do a small documentary type video. And it was actually just a remembrance because like in few months, it's going to be 25 years. So I thought, may just take a look into some of the videos and some of the people, firemen and stuff like that, who were there. Because 9/11 wasn't really something that really occupied me. I just finished school, so I think it's not something that many people my age usually think about. But yeah, I just decided to look into the event, and eventually I crossed the conspiracy theory sector, if you can call it that. And decided to take a look around, and I'm usually a skeptic because I don't believe most conspiracy theories. However, I just looked around. I watched the new Pearl Harbor. It's like a documentary made by an Italian filmmaker. It's
Massimo
Mazzucco.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really good documentary.
Yeah.
And it kind of led me, I guess, down a rabbit hole where I always try to look further, because there's some things that have been debunked, right? For example, the big North Tower explosion that I remember one of the firemen, I think was Schroeder was his name. He was talking about a big explosion in the lobby, and it eventually turned out that it was just like the South Tower collapsed. Sorry for that. So there are some things that have been debunked, but what really stood out to me was the fact that there are still a lot of things that haven't been answered, neither by officials or by, I guess, just debunkers. Mostly, of course, being related to Building 7. I watched Richard Gage presentation. He makes really good videos. And I know it's kind of fascinating. He has managed to gather almost 4,000 architects and engineers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And imagine just having an idea that really does sound ridiculous at first. I mean, just the pure idea of there being explosives in a building and the government, I guess, doing something like that, sacrificing 3,000 people for wars and things like that. It's pretty ridiculous at first. And then seeing that there is actually solid evidence for that, and seeing how flawed the NIST report is, and then having Richard Gage and his almost 4,000 architects who are professionals, who know what they're doing, looking you in the face and saying this was controlled demolition or this was likely controlled demolition, I think it's very powerful. And yeah, I'm going to be honest, it really convinced me. And obviously there's doubt, like the South Tower core, for example. But I think a new investigation is worth having 100%. Especially now with the Epstein release as well, and there's a lot of corruption everywhere, it seems like. So yeah, I decided to make this little project. Maybe I'm still going to do a documentary, maybe one day.
Nice.
But yeah, I just wanted to, I guess, support Richard Gage and his cause, because obviously I went through a lot of debunking videos. And one of the main arguments that is brought up is, well, if Building 7 was a controlled demolition, where are the explosions? I don't hear anything. Or with the Twin Towers, why is it just a loud rumble? And of course, there are technical limitations. For example, most microphones, I believe in 2001, they were just weak, so there would be a lot of audio clipping, meaning it would just be a loud rumble and you would barely hear any explosions. However, I still thought, okay, there must be some, right? And I decided to look, and there are in fact quite a lot where explosions can be heard. And yeah, I decided to just combine that into one big project. Because again, I'm not an architect, obviously. I'm not a physicist or anything like that. So I decided to support, I guess, the cause in a way where it's easily verifiable. It's just a lot of annoying work trying to filtering out the audio, but it's stuff even a stupid teenager like me can do.
No, you're only a teenager.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Voice cracks, if you haven't noticed.
No, that's fantastic.
Can I? You don't have to say, but how old are you?
17.
Oh my God!
Wow.
Recently
Okay.
turned 17.
Amazing.
God bless you.
Happy late birthday. Yeah.
Thank you.
So this happened before you were 8 years before you were born. The advantage of your generation is that they don't think about this with the stigma and with the preconceived notions of those who were witness to it are dealing with. You have that ability to take a more objective approach. You're not invested in the story, in the outcome, and all of that. And and if your focus is on the explosions for whatever reasons, I mean, most of us are not architects or engineers. We're just in it because something convinced us. And I've learned after many years that it's really funny to find out what it is that convinced somebody, because sometimes you think it's just the smallest insignificant detail and you're going, really, that's what did it for you? But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's something at one point that triggers and has a person say, well, wait a minute, that just doesn't make sense. And it doesn't matter where you start, as long as you start and do what you do, and just be skeptical and don't look for a certain outcome. Just see where the path leads you. Try to go about it as objectively as possible. And
if you don't mind me asking, what video editing software do you use to isolate audio?
So with this one, I used mainly Audacity. It's it's a very well-known program, right?
Yes,
it's nothing expensive.
Great. And if
it's
you are
usually a good combination to denoise the image, especially when there's like a helicopter there, because digital programs, they are pretty good at capturing increases in sound, but often it can be pretty difficult to hear with just your ears, because it gets lost in all the noise and stuff like that. And there are definitely videos which are a lot more subtle. That's true.
I've analyzed the Bykovsky video. I don't know if you're familiar with that one of Building 7. It's the very popular Building 7 video.
Oh yeah, the from West Street one,
yes.
right?
And right before the penthouse falls, you can hear that low boom. But
exactly.
You really have to tweak the audio to isolate that boom.
Yeah, true. But it shows that there was an explosive sound before the column 79 allegedly got destroyed.
Yes.
Which is it's pretty disturbing after hearing Shyam Sunder from NIST say that it was not recorded by cameras
Right.
or reported by witnesses. That's just a plain lie, and it's stuff like that that really gets me, and it's really disturbing, to be honest.
Yeah.
If you plan on going to university, I don't know if you're ever going to cross paths with this gentleman that we've talked to. This is Professor Maximilian Rupert. I forgot the name of the university he was with. I don't know if perhaps you remember, but he came on
Stuttgart, I think.
Stuttgart?
I think.
He said, German professor, we
Also
immediately
ich kenne Daniel Ganser.
Yes.
Yeah, but he lives in Munich.
Who does?
He lives in Munich. Yeah.
Who lives in
he
Munich?
was living in Munich at the same time I lived in Munich.
Daniele Ganser, Dr. Daniele Ganser.
Yeah.
Well, Daniele Ganser is Swiss, right?
Oh yeah, true.
He's Swiss. I don't know where he's living. He speaks German. But Maximilian Rupert, I don't know. We'd have to go through the video because I think it does come up. Yeah, what was it called? Something der klaren Worte, Club der klaren Worte.
There you go.
Club der klaren Worte.de. And they had they had a series of really just cerebral type conversations, and this one in particular was about 9/11. And he said, and he was an engineer, and he remembers the day he was a student when it happened, and or just on the verge of, and he said, yeah, everybody just looked at that and said, oh my God, that was the perfect controlled demolition when it happened. But he said, he didn't dare come out and speak because he was just starting his career and he didn't want to get blacklisted or, demoted or not given a chance and stuff. So he kept quiet all these years. Then he came out. This was 3 years ago now, I think.
Yeah.
And I think he got swept up in everybody wanting to speak to him. And then I think he kind of crawled back into his shell because I reached out to him a couple of times. He said he wanted to wait till the wave passed before he spoke about it again. And after that, I don't know. I think he just buried it. But yeah, definitely a very super well spoken.
I will send you this. This was the recording of him doing an interview for, what was it called? Club de Claren Roten. Sorry, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Ich bin Muda. I could say it. He understood that one. All I can remember from German class was I am tired. Ich bin Muda. So anyway. No sprechen Sie Deutsch.
Club der klaren Worte.
Yeah.
But this was a fantastic interview he did, and I'll send you the link because he was very insightful on what he saw, how he assessed what he saw when the buildings fell and everything like that. So,
well, he doesn't need the subtitles.
He was. Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was in German.
I think in Germany it's even more difficult to speak out about that,
Mhm.
about these topics.
Really?
Yeah, I do believe, or maybe not. I mean, it's kind of difficult to tell because obviously America was scarred, not Germany. But in general, after 9/11, it seems like just almost in every Western country, I guess just questioning the official narrative was not well seen and was often punished. I mean, you could say punished with demotion or getting fired.
Oh yeah, if you spoke out about
like
it
almost everywhere. It's not just in the US.
Right.
Yeah.
But I remember a poll, and this goes back a few years now, but a poll specifically in Germany when they were asked if they believed the official version on 9/11, and 80% said no. So I don't know, and there's a difference between what you believe and what you actually publicly come out and stand for too, right? You can have even, hear the same thing, right? You can doubt the official story and still not have the courage to come out and say it in front of everybody because God forbid you should be considered a conspiracy theorist. So it's two different worlds.
Anti-Semitic conspiracy theories.
Oh, there's those. Yeah, those are very strong these days. No, we don't want that.
All right. Well, thank you for joining. Good to see you. Keep going with this work. And if you do make a documentary, we'll definitely share that and publicize that. So.
Yeah, and I just want to make sure that you're also aware of the Graham McQueen's research into the 156 witnesses of explosions. Right. Okay. Perfect.
I've read that. It's very amazing work.
Perfect.
It's
okay.
also very sad that he passed away.
I know.
Really sad.
Thank you, Tristan, for joining.
Yep.
I'll go with you first. We're going to go around the room. It's the end of the call. We'll be just basically 30 seconds. Any takeaways or final words? We'll start with you. Anything for the group wrapping up?
You're putting him on the spot.
I know. They might not have understood me or heard me.
Or, well, it's okay. We'll just start
He says he's muted.
Yeah. Well, we'll just go around the room. Mike, anything for the group wrapping up?
I don't really have a whole lot going on. Waiting for this girl to get out of jail, move in with me, and find a job for both of us.
Good for you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
JB, anything for the group?
I want to express gratitude to the firefighters for 9/11 Truth, or Captain Raul for being here tonight, and a thumbs up to Eric Lawyer and all the other folks. Finding truth, justice, and accountability for the murder of the 343 firefighters is fulcrum to manifest why we know each other in the first place. Let's note that meaningful contributions are important to help reach broader audiences, including the important film Calling Out Bravo 7, produced by firefighters themselves. For more details, visit 911firefighters.org. Thank you.
Well said, JB. Thank you. And with that, if Raul's still here, Raul, anything for the group?
Oh, he put in the chat, nothing from him.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that means he doesn't want to talk.
All right. Al, anything for the group?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sue's away, so we don't have a Boston 9/11 meeting until she gets back. I forgot the date, in April. And I just wanted to make an observation with the Epstein files and Iran war going on. I can't think of a better time to promote 9/11 Truth. The public is so softened up with information now that 9/11 Truth to them probably, it's just the message would be a whole lot easier to present to a newbie. And we're having April 19th, as you know, we go to Lexington and they celebrate the Patriots Day. And I think it's going to be a much easier sell. So that's basically what I wanted to say.
Excellent.
Yeah, 9/11 starting to look tame compared to some of the other stuff.
I agree.
Exactly.
And Al, along with Sue, is with Boston 9/11 Truth. For those that don't know, you can go to boston911truth.org. They have guest speakers. The next guest speaker is Jonathan Mark Haber, and he will be on April 2nd. That's Thursday, April 2nd, 6:30 p.m. If you want an invite, go to email Sueserpa, SUESERPA @gmail.com. Thanks, Al. Curtis, right on. Good to see you, Curtis. Anything for the group? If you're there.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yep. Well, we did.
It's amazing. All these years later. And don't anybody get offended, but I'm just going to call it out what I see. There's too much time still being wasted on why the buildings fell.
Yeah, you caught a bad episode for that one.
Pretty much this episode, it's did a plane hit it or didn't a plane hit it? Who cares?
Right.
I learned more about elevator shafts in this episode than anything.
Yeah. It's the only way they can divide and conquer.
Point of this the point of this whole process was to bring accountability to the people that did this, to bring accountability to all the people that died because of this horrendous act by, there's a list of people who did it. I was excited a few months ago, hearing a lot of this stuff was going into Congress. What happened to that? It seemed to fall dead. I don't know.
We're still working on it.
Hang on, Mike.
I was real excited to hear about that, and that's where the push needs to go.
Absolutely.
Not sitting here arguing about did a plane hit it or didn't a plane hit it. These elevator shafts.
Yep.
When the building fell, did a piece of the steel beam turn to dust? None of that matters. These people that died in that don't care about that. The survivors, and people that lost family members. All these arguments don't matter.
Yeah.
What it counts is obviously the truth coming out and people getting held accountable.
Let me
did this. Now the most exciting thing here in recent is the work that Ian Carroll's doing, and allowing you guys to chip in and help out with that, and how he's merged all these different files together. That's kind of exciting and hopeful, and that's all I have to say at the moment.
Thank you, Curtis. I really appreciate it. And please allow me 30 seconds to share how this show is supposed to go, because we do want to. This show is supposed to be about flying at like the 30,000-foot level of the 9/11 Truth Movement, not get into the weeds. And we really got into the weeds today. But the highlights of what's going on, I can tell you that the document they're getting together for the Permanent Subcommittee of Investigations to Ron Johnson, they're actively working on that. They're getting that to him relatively soon. So keep your eye on that one. Ian Carroll did work with us, and we got a whole bunch of documents to him. He did release the IO app and release the 9/11 data sets, so that's good. And all these arguing about certain things in the weeds really doesn't matter, because there is this wave of raising awareness through his app that's just going to wash over all of these little arguments. It's about bringing attention on a greater level to the 9/11 Truth Movement, and that is happening. So please stay excited about it, because I agree. There's bigger things to
And I just wanted to underline when I said you really unfortunately fell on a bad one, because we haven't gone into the weeds of this nature in like a long time.
Yeah.
And today it just was all about that. And it's the one that you happened to pop in on. So.
And I forgive me, because I got to digress on one last thing. This has nothing to do with 9/11, but he's my buddy. He drives the big rigs, and I sent him this private message. Again, this doesn't have anything 9/11, but it's funny. I sent it to them and said, "Hey, Curtis, is this you?" And watch this thing. Of course, only could happen in a video game, but he laughed about it. And yeah, hopefully you don't see any big rigs driving like that on the road.
Yeah, so keep your respect for the big rigs.
Yeah, don't be pulling in front of them at the last minute. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Thank you, Curtis.
Thanks, guys.
Jetty B from Scotland. Anything for the group?
Yeah, in defence of getting into the weeds, if you didn't have people that got into the weeds, you wouldn't have the evidence and information that has caught the eye of Congress. You wouldn't be in a position to be able to talk at 30,000 feet, because you wouldn't have anything to talk about. So you need people. If you're going to hide something, where are you going to hide it? Not in the fairway. You're going to hide it in the weeds. So you need. It's a bit of balance. And I just wanted to compliment Tristan on his work. Absolutely brilliant, and very impressive that somebody who wasn't even alive when 9/11 happened has the social conscience to look at something in the way that he clearly does. So all compliments to you, Tristan, and thank you very much for your presentation.
Nice, Jerry.
I appreciate that also very much. Thank you.
Jerry, I agree with you. You got to get into the weeds. It depends on the platform. This is where I think, and forgive me for saying this is where AE 9/11 Truth should focus on all that stuff we were talking about with the elevators and the steel and this and that. That's where these, what was that?
Calculations, the physics, the science.
What was the Project Due Diligence? That was fantastic. And that's should be getting into it there. But thank you, Jetty. And I know Craig likes to get into the weeds of the Pentagon too, but that's on another platform as well. Craig, anything for the group?
Yeah, I'd like to comment. First, I'd like to resoundingly agree with Jerry's point, because you do need to have you do have to make the case to wake people up. Like you can't just say, here's the people we think did it, and start with that, because people will say, well, why should I disbelieve the story as we've been told? So you got to start with the evidence and knock holes excuse me, and knock holes in the official story to wake them up, and then go from there. So and I just want to put in a plug for my new group that I've done in the last couple of months with a few other people, exposing 9/11. And the reason I'm mentioning it is because the basic philosophy that one of the main things that I wanted to do with that was to focus on showing the lies of the official story and avoiding getting into many different theories about the precise way something was done, because that's how we get divided. Thank you for that. That's how we can get into these endless gridlock, is because people have their pet theories. But if you can prove the official story is a lie, to me, that gets the ball rolling, and that's the most important thing. And we can be more united if we're doing that rather than, debating theories, which is why, I'm not big on discussing like the directed energy weapons and related things, because I think, well, we know they brought the towers down with explosives of some kind. Why do we want to waste years talking about which devices they used? I do want to mention that at the 9/11 and Other Deep State Crimes teleconference has its monthly meeting on Wednesday, and we have Mick Harrison's going to be speaking to us. So
nice.
I know you guys had him last week, and that sort of caught my interest because he had so many very interesting things to say about the Johnson project, and obviously he has knowledge of a number of different legal related topics related to 9/11. And so I wanted our group to be exposed to what he would have to say and to find out what's going on with that Johnson project. So I hope people will join us for that. If you're not, that's what I was going to say. If you're not on the subscription list, which gets you the agenda and the video every month, you can do so by going to 911teleconference.substack.com. And just hit subscribe, and then you'll be on the list, and you'll get the agenda, or you can read the agenda right on there. It's I just put it up. Actually, I put it up during this meeting. I was multitasking. So we hope some people can join us.
Right on. Thank you, Craig.
It's 8 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday.
Thank you, Magnus.
Hey, can I insert myself just because it'll be quicker, and I can address a couple of quick things with a goodbye.
Okay.
If I can insert myself, I'll remember it easier. First of all, Tristan, I would really love it if you did an acoustic analysis of a launch of a rocket from, the space shuttle launch, Saturn V rockets, any kind of rocket launches that NASA's done. If you could do an acoustic analysis of that, I think that would be interesting. And then Jerry B, yes, of course, Jerry, that's correct. The industry, the concerns he has regarding that it wouldn't have been possible, or they would never have done that. There are two main reasons for that. It is one, that you can't have the explosives being prematurely detonated in a fire, for example, as he stated. The other one is preserving those explosives. So I've got really good answers for those. They're not Judy Wood's answers. They've got very inexpensive experiments that can be done. But I don't want to do that alone because they're very explosive experiments, and that has to be done by a professional organization like 9/11 Center for Research, 9/11 Research, or what used to be Architects and Engineers, doesn't exist anymore. But anyway, a professional organization so that we get some cover there. And then the last one was I agree completely with Curtis. I apologize. I did not mean to get us into the weeds today. But when we were talking about, irrefutable evidence, I had to put forth what I believe is irrefutable evidence. And I'm a structural engineer. And I think I figured out how they did it. So I'm kind of biased in that way, and it's really not appropriate. I just didn't mean to, I didn't think that everybody would take it in so much. But so next week, I'll be hoping to talk about irrational desires and how that influenced it and who did it. Next week, I'll talk about who did it if you want. Okay, that's it.
Thanks, Russ. Let's go to Magnus in Norway.
Could I make a quick comment, Gene, just to correct something Ross said? Architects and Engineers is not dead. It is, I would say, dormant at the moment for the last like 5 months or so. Not much is happening, but just want to be very clear that it is not dead. It is there. The website is there. And there are some of us that have been involved with it in the past that are very anxious to see what can be done to get that back on track. But, you know, one doesn't necessarily have the power that one would like to have to make that happen.
Yep.
But one is working on it.
10-4.
One.
Thank you. Magnus.
I don't know who the one is. It could be, you know, it could be anybody. I don't know who it could be.
All right. I got to go to Magnus. Magnus. There you go.
Oh, hello, Gene, and sorry for not getting it when you said you're opening the table. So I'm gonna share the videos next time, and have a great week. And I'm asking everybody to donate to richardgage911.org because that's the greatest project so far with the movies out there that a grand jury actually are going to view or watch. So please do that.
Thank you, Magnus. And I apologize. It really didn't open the table. We kind of ran out of time. There was just so much to talk about this week, but we'll get to you next week. And yeah, Richard's still working crime scene to courtroom. If anybody hasn't seen the first 5 episodes, go to 911c2c.org. And with that, let's go to Richard.
Hi, and thanks for bringing Tristan on, Gene, and introducing him so nicely. Great to see you and meet you, Tristan, finally, after talking to you all this time. I'm really excited about all the improvements you've made to the film. And the question is how we get that out. So we need to, I'd like to do an article about it. I'd like you to write it when you recover. And we'll publish it on RG911. I'm sure others will publish it as well. You up for that?
So thank you very much for the offer, and it's also nice to speak to you. I have a lot of respect for you, and I don't know about that. Yeah, maybe with, I guess, your guidance, or if, of course, if someone can always look over it, because I'm a filmmaker, and I really wanted to do something which is which takes time, which helps the cause, but what isn't too scientific, or because I'm going to be honest, I'm just not a scientist, and therefore I feel honored, but I don't think I'm really cut out for these types of tasks, if you know what I mean.
Right. I'll write a little article and send it to you for review.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, before it goes out. Thanks.
And since I have you, Tristan, anything for the group from you? Any takeaways or final comments?
It's a very nice group. It's nice to see that also Eugene and Sandra, that you are doing this, and that you're kind of unifying the people in this cause.
Well, trying.
Yeah, respect, I guess, to everyone for keeping this up for so long. I mean, I've been researching this for maybe like 6 months, very amateurish. And then there are people like you two or Richard Gage who have been doing that for years. And there's also, I don't know how much, but I guess there's also a certain danger to it, right? Because maybe not, but it's very respectable to keep up such a fight for this many years.
Yeah, you always have those who think that it's very dangerous, and especially, and we were just talking about this yesterday, that maybe those who have information to share that otherwise, others wouldn't know about, like Barry Jennings, like the expert witnesses and stuff like that. Yeah, there's been suspicious deaths and stuff, but I always lean on the fact that Richard says that he's never as much as been threatened with his life. So if Richard hasn't been threatened, I'm thinking I'm pretty safe. So
I put my phone number on the back of my truck at times. I put it all over the internet, and I still haven't gotten a death threat. So
yeah, I think you've gotten like 2 calls.
Yeah, I did get a lady in traffic saying she agreed with me, so that was nice.
I mean, there was
I nominate Gene for official cat herder.
Yeah, we do herd cats. Yeah.
I remember watching a Instagram video of Richard Gage, and it was like very viral. And I remember all the comments were saying if Mr. Gage, if he died afterwards or if he got into a car crash.
No,
So
wow.
there seems to be this feeling in many people that I assume speaking out against these kind of things, that it leads to, I don't know, death, for example.
Meh.
We
I'm not
don't-
afraid.
We don't
Not
think
really.
about it. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not. Yeah, it's maybe not also good to think about it.
No,
too
it's
much.
not.
Meh. Thank you, Tristan, so much. A humble thank you for that. And I don't want to be a leader, but I just want to see this movement progress, and that's just doing what we can to help out. So thank you.
If fear is something they count on, right?
Yeah.
You won't come up against us because we're unbeatable and we're so much greater than you are.
Yep.
And
Yep.
this movement has been all about saying that.
Fear not. Yes. Richard, just a heads up, looking at 911c2c.org, there is a critical error on this website. It is
Yeah,
not.
that's my next task this afternoon. We have
Okay.
a problem. I don't know what it is.
10.4.
We updated to WordPress 6.9.4 or something, and we got problems.
Okay.
Well, the
10.4.
forces out there are not killing you; they're just killing your website.
Dun. All right. Let's see who's next. Brian Good, anything for the group? I'll see if he comes off mute. Susie, anything for the group?
Oh, I just want to say thanks, and I'm glad to be going through the weeds because the devil's always in the details.
Oh, good one. Right on. Thank you, Susie. Craig Close.
Just listening as usual.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Engineer. Trina, you back from that walk yet? Anything for the group?
Yeah, I got an hour in. It was wonderful.
Nice.
Just want to say thank you again to everybody. And I always learn something new every week. So that really impresses me because I'm a firm believer and we can always learn something new every day if we're just paying attention.
Mm.
I'd like to welcome Tristan and thank him for his input. I'm just extremely thrilled to see someone of his age and generation getting involved and looking into this. And I hope that he can, in his own way, no pressure, but just lead by example with his peers and his age group. I think that would be a wonderful thing. And I hope he comes back to the meeting here. And I also agree with Pavel, however he pronounces his name. Sorry if I butchered that. While I do appreciate details and looking into the various alternatives or theories, I think that's all important because it is getting us to where we are today with the various pieces of the puzzle, I like to say, that we're putting together. But in the end, I hope we can all just draw on the old saying, agree to disagree with people and still be able to come together for the greater good. Because Tristan is maybe wondering why some of us are here all these years later, especially when we could all be, some of us could all be enjoying retirement or whatnot, but we still choose to put our time in and work towards the end goal of seeing justice. It's because I think, just there's something in my conscience that just, you can't let it go. To me, once you see something and you understand it and you can zoom out and look at the bigger picture, it's just something you can't ignore anymore. So I just want to applaud everybody that still is involved. And I hope that we keep continuing to gain momentum and that we grow our numbers even more. So that's my outlook. And just thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you, Jean and Sandra.
Thank you, Trina.
Thank you, Trina.
Nice to have had you back.
This is Tampa. All right. I just want to piggyback on that to Tristan. This is an offer I have to any high school student. It's $50 to any high school student that can do the physics lab that David Chandler's put together at 911speakout.org/physics-lab. And it's basically downloading this free tracker software, plotting the points on building 7 and verifying that it is falling at free fall. And if somebody sends me their tracker file and proves that they actually did it, then I'll send them $50 US dollars. I don't know what that is in German, francs or whatever they're called over there, but I'd be glad to offer it to you. Or anybody else.
Euros, Gene.
Euros. Sorry. Thank you. Thanks, Roy. Since I have you, Roy, anything for the group?
Oh, not really. I'm gonna watch the Rumble video because I was unfortunately dozing when Chuck spoke. I caught right at the end that he was saying that he thought that there was justification of the spire or whatever that was there. And I'm reminded of a Belgian psychologist who taught in Geneva and taught me Esperanto in San Francisco. And he was talking about trying to talk to somebody about Esperanto or the idea of an international language, a common international language, and they didn't see it. And he said it was like standing in front of a white wall and saying to the person that it was a white wall, and the person being unable or refusing to see that the white wall was white. That's that. I was reminded of that by the justification versus non-justification at that particular point. It looks like it justifies to me, and if you're talking about dust, I really have no idea where you think that dust is coming from. But that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Roy. Again, I disagree. Jack Bottomley, anything for the group? If you're there, Jack.
Yeah, can you hear me?
You barely. You always have bad audio, but go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Somewhat.
Can you hear me now?
Kinda. It sounds like you're walking through a radiation field.
I'll speak and shut me off when you can't hear anything.
No, you're great now. Keep going.
Yeah.
I followed October 7th pretty closely, and I came to the conclusion that Israel killed at least half the people, and they let it happen. But since then, I've heard Netanyahu proudly proclaim, all the people killed on October 7th was a war crime. And I've heard many of my fellow citizens and my family say the same thing. And then there was these German soldiers on the beach in one of the resort areas. And
I'm sorry, Jack. I can't get it.
Jack, I don't think anybody's understanding
anything.
It's
really bad. I don't know if you got a bad cord or something. Maybe get a new cord.
Yeah.
It's raining. It's raining here. We don't have reception.
Go back to the recordings after they're uploaded and check out what we're talking about.
I got to move on. That's really bad, brother. Thank you for joining, though. And I think I got everybody except for this 9801 number.
I think that's Joshua.
Josh, I don't know if you could say anything or not. If not, keep driving. Be safe.
And Brian, you want to go back to Brian?
No, Brian, if you're back, anything for the group?
And he asked a question. The name of that engineering professor. What's the name of the Maximilian Rupert.
Maximilian Rupert. All right. It's
but Gene will have the link in the show notes.
Yeah. RUPPERT.
And we did record this week's episode.
Yeah. Geez, boy, that was terrible.
Yeah. Again, thank you to Carl Golovin for providing the audio. We would have been completely.
Sandra, anything for the group?
No, just was great. It's always great when someone new joins the call, and like to echo what Trina was saying, wonderful to have younger generations, and also hats off to your courage to just walk into a group of people who've been doing this for a long time, who are all like 3 times as old as you are. So, I don't know if I would have had that courage, but yeah, very impressive. So it gives me hope for for us to be able to hand it over to others who are coming behind us who can keep running with it.
So my big takeaways are that the Web.io has the 9/11 data sets out there, raising awareness big time. Richard and the group are still working on the document for the Ron Johnson, and there was something else I wanted to share. And I can't remember what it is, but thank you all for being here. Guten Nachten. Have a good evening, a great week, and let's talk next time.
Have a great week, guys. Bye.
Gute Nacht.
Gute Nacht.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.